No, we always gotta let it go. Oh yeah. This is too good. Then we drop the intro. Hello, everyone. This is Rolo, the Puerto Rican pistolero, coming to you live from beautiful Miami. We got Greg the Goblin. Greg the Goblin. What can we say about Greg the Goblin? Always coming through, dropping the 20 to start the show. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Greg. Always appreciate you. Good to see you. We hadn't seen you in a bit. I know that we've been playing less Fortnite, so you know that's been totally different. I've tried to change things up just to get a variety of stuff here. Oh, look, and we've got notifications now, which again, those usually don't work, so that's pretty awesome. A little bit delayed, but that's awesome. Thank you again, Greg. Much appreciated. Yeah, we've been playing a variety of games here. I can see Comic Misconceptions there. We got Randy. We got Peter. The artist for that, it's actually just one of the Google creator artists. I have to look it up for you. I'm not, it's going to start playing the song when I go back here, but it's going to be, it's called DJ Williams, James River. DJ Williams, James River. So that's for you, Peter. DJ Williams, James River is the song I need. I need like a somebody to help type stuff like that when I do it. So that's you can look that up on Google Music or anything like that. It is for YouTube creators on the YouTube Creator Music tab, so it's royalty free when you're YouTube affiliate, I believe, and it may be open source in a lot of other places. You can check that, but I know for sure it is with that. And shout out to everywhere that we're live on Rumble, Kick, and X. We've been live on X the last 2 streams, I believe. So yesterday, I did try Dark Souls 2 weekends ago, or 1 weekend ago, I should say. And I had a good time. I got a little bit frustrated at the end. I didn't know how to sprint, which was pretty embarrassing. But I went in totally cold and, well, not totally cold. I had a game plan from people that had watched before, but I'd never played the game myself. So, I just kind of went in, without knowing the controls or any of those things. So I had a plan. I started executing the plan, and then I got to a point where I just got kind of frustrated about it because I didn't know how to sprint. Had I known how to sprint, things would have been different because I played later on, with a different save, and I figured it out. But I've got that original save coming up next week. sometime. We'll figure it out because I know that I did the Destiny 2 Pantheon yesterday night, which was something totally different. A few of the guys that I've played video games with, and Commander and my younger brother, have played video games with some of these guys for way more than 10 years in some cases. They had a spot open for me to play Destiny 2, which I've been playing on my own. I haven't been streaming it. I've gotten back into it over the last few months, and I've been playing it in my own time, and I've enjoyed that a lot. As I really hadn't played after since the first raid. So for me, there's a lot of content there, and I've really enjoyed my time catching up for the final shape, which is going to be the last piece of Destiny 2 content. Supposedly they're coming out with, or at least the last expansion. Will there be Destiny 3 is going to be marathon, something like that. Both. I guess we're going to see. I haven't really kept up too much with that, but I am excited for the final shape. And the Pantheon was a lot of fun. Awesome, Peter. Glad you were able to find it. It's very good. And all the music that I use here, you can find there. So if you search for it through YouTube or something like that, you'll be able to find those. And it's automatically licensed, I believe, in the videos. So if you like any of the music that I play during the Fortnite streams that I have during the show, you'll find it, most likely there, or you'll see it, credited in the description of the show. So I wasn't able to talk last week, it's doing a lot of different streams, and then, talking with a lot of different people, hanging out, wore me out last week, apparently. So I'm back this week, but the Pantheon was very enjoyable. I don't know if it's content that everybody likes, but you're going to see more of it. I'm sure that we'll run it again. Hopefully I'll have the chance to do that because I've had Destiny fever, but we've been playing a few other games. We've been playing Helldivers 2, which we're going to talk about. The situation has developed quite a bit since I played it the other day. Between what I knew at the time. So we're going to talk about how I feel about it now, knowing how that situation's evolved and the crap show that Sony always seems to find themselves into. And it's a shame that it always seems to happen. It feels like it really feels like there's just nowhere to go sometimes. So you just have to, decide if you're just going to keep on keeping on, or move on to something else. And it's always tough, especially when your hard-earned cash is there and you got friends playing. But hey, we'll see. So we'll talk about that later on in the show. We've been playing Fortnite, which Fortnite's always there. It is what it is. It's been steady. Epic is a juggernaut at this point. So it's just, it's weird how Epic has gone up and down, ebbed and flowed here, but Fortnite has remained since like 2017. And, you still go back to it. You can see it right there on the Xbox and Destiny. Been playing Fallout. Halo's always there. Even some Elder Scrolls Online. So doing a lot of, RPGs and all that stuff lately on top of the regular stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with Helldivers and what we're going to do here. I guess I'll do a poll right now of are you going to quit playing Helldivers after this? And we'll see what you guys have to say in the chat. And we'll leave that poll up for pretty much as long as I can keep it on there, because I know a lot of you start watching later in the show. So do I remember even how to do a poll? I should. So here we go. There you go. All right, there we go. We'll start the poll, and we'll just leave that up for like an hour or something. So, we'll just put yes and no. I could have said like I don't even own the game, but we'll just say that. Maybe you would have played it if you had a chance because it looked like fun when we streamed it or somebody else. I know a lot of people have been streaming it. Epic Mike has been streaming it, which you should check out the Epic Verse stream as well from this week. We talk about a lot of random stuff. I really love that show. And honestly, I'll go on a tangent here because you've seen a lot of changes with me and streaming over the last a few months for, obvious reasons. But I really appreciate the Epic Verse guys for bringing me on there because I've never made movies. I've never done anything, with them. I don't have any insider knowledge on Epic Verse if anybody asks, but Josiah and Mike have always been really awesome. And they brought me on as a guest and now they've made me a regular host there in the lineup, and I really enjoy hanging out with them every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right after our Fortnite streams. So I appreciate them for that opportunity, and it's a lot of fun, just because we talk about so many different things, last week we even delved into the conspiratorial and things like that. We talked about our favorite bears in entertainment. So you never know what you're going to find there. And it's a little bit different than what I think everybody else is talking about. And you get to see Epic Mike usually talk about things in a more positive light, which is really interesting. And Ben has very, very interesting takes that are usually not very good. And Chaz is this secret genius. He's pretty quiet, but that dude is a bit of a genius. That new theme song that he came up with is pretty fire, as the kids say. I thought it was amazing. The 80s synth style. So yeah, that's basically how Lofty is. Ben would be that equivalent, for sure. So, but I have a lot of I have a lot of fun with them. So go ahead and check that out. Something totally different. I talk a little bit about the entertainment stuff here. It's not the primary focus of the show. Usually talk about politics and the Second Amendment, which I'm going to talk about here too for a bit, and guns. But he actually is positive over there. He usually has things to say until Ben says something that completely triggers him. Last episode, Ben showed up in the kind of in the 11th hour. So I think Mike was pretty chill that time, and Mike's been doing a lot of late night streams recently, so I think he's been a lot more chill, kind of like me. I've been hanging out playing Destiny pretty late, and that Pantheon went for a lot longer than I thought it would yesterday night. So go ahead and check out Epic Verse, and you'll see a different kind of side of things. It's pretty cool, the conversations that we have there. But as far as look at that, we got 27 people here. Thank you so much, everybody showing up. Sorry for not being here last week. I've been getting used to the new streaming schedule of kind of doing 4 days back to back. I didn't realize that that's kind of how I was backloading it until I did that Dark Souls stream. And I was like, man, this is like 4 days in a row on the weekends. So we're going to have to figure this out at some point. But for now, that's where we're at. And so for the time being, keep checking me out and everybody else that hangs out in this channel on those nights, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which I'm not sure if Saturday is going to stay a morning stream or if it's going to be like a Destiny stream. It may be rotating. I'm going to figure out where to put this Dark Souls in there. And then obviously this show. So Adam says, I have PlayStation, but with Xbox games, you don't have to log in. With Microsoft, it's an option. You can just do it. Not with them. There's just so many accounts, and that's kind of how, I'll talk about it later. But I had one take when I played the other day, but knowing how Sony's been so scummy and getting the big picture, that situation's just really it's a disaster. And it's pretty terrible. You guys see that Xbox over here is my primary console. I play most of my games there, and PC, pretty much everything else. I do have a PS5 right here. And I played there in the past. I've got a controller adapter. You guys know that I always complained in the past. If you've seen me on streams and other channels where I've had to use a PlayStation, I always complain about the controller. I much prefer Xbox. That's the way it is. I play keyboard and mouse too, but Xbox controller is always my preferred mode of transportation, so to speak. So that's where you're usually going to see me. Helldivers, I did play on PC. I do have a lot of PlayStation games on PC as well. You know, you just have to, you know, go where the best experience is for you. Sony is starting to pop their games out on PC. I guess if you want their exclusives, you just wait a little bit longer. Same thing for Microsoft. I think everything is going to become kind of a PC environment. And that's really, that's kind of where everything's going. You know, I've got the ROG Ally, everything like that. I've got all the consoles. The Switch has been kind of gaining dust for a few months there, but it's still hanging strong, getting updates. But you know, mostly I jump between single player games on PC and then, you know, games on Xbox. A lot of times if I want to use a TV or if I want to stream without any sort of, you know, weirdness that, you know, jumping between screens on PC can bring, even though this PC has no issues with that. So, hey, yes, Zeltroid, we've got to do that. So see, there we go. There's another stream that we can have because I owe Johnny a lot of Halo matches in the future, and that's something that's another game that we have to go back to. It's, you know, trying to balance you know, time for yourself and doing streams is always tough. And then even playing video games without streaming them. I do take a lot of time to play a lot of games, and maybe I should be streaming them, but now I'm playing with other people that, you know, don't necessarily want to stream, or we're just hanging out having a good time. Good Wrench, yes. I haven't seen Good Wrench in a long time. I have not played Halo in a long time. You can see that it's there. You know, Infinite and Master Chief Collection. I do go back to them every once in a while. And maybe that's why I enjoy Destiny so much, because it is Bungie and the gunplay is so fantastic that it's kind of like an offshoot, so to speak, of the Halo experience. It's got an aesthetic to it as well. The Bungie Dengar Renegade, what's up? Look at that, dude. This is there's a lot of old school names here from back in the day, which is usually a Wednesday. If you figure it out, Wednesday Fortnite days, Thursdays with the premium members. You know, back in the G&G days. So you guys were always a lot of fun to play with. May do that one day here. Again, it's just balancing all that time. So Johnny says, hope you're well. To Forgotten Man, just trying to keep up with work while supporting the wife through pregnancy. Life's good, though. Yeah, and congratulations to Johnny. Go ahead and support him. He's been doing fantastic. His channel, he's got a lot of big life changes going on with you know, a baby coming soon. So give him and his lovely wife, Alasia, some love and support his channel. Both of his channels, you know, Johnny Arnett. Even if you're not a basketball fan, which I am a huge basketball fan, my dad, you know, the old man Pistolero, he loves watching those videos when I bring them up too. Johnny does a fantastic job with that. I need to catch up with him here through the playoffs. My old man is a huge New York Knicks fan. I'm a Heat fan. Unfortunately, we were just out, you know, we were underhanded, or shorthanded, I should say, not underhanded, shorthanded this season. In the playoffs this offseason. So we didn't have a chance. The Knicks, we'll see what happens with them. You know, Johnny's Lakers got taken down. So we'll see what happens with LeBron. So we can catch up on those videos and see what he has to say on that front. And you'll learn a lot, even if you don't like basketball. His content is very entertaining. So hopefully we can do some good stuff on the gaming front, because Johnny's got to stream. We got to see him do some streaming, not just make those videos, because we love seeing him do some of that. So we need to see more of Johnny out there before he gets too busy, and then he's on hiatus being a good dad. So yeah, you can catch him at Zeltroid here. So you can click on his name And then his other channel is going to be Johnny Arnett. So if somebody's got that, you can go ahead and drop that in the chat. Let me see if I can look up Johnny's channels here. There we go. Look at that. I had it. Got it on the first try. So we'll drop Johnny's channel in there. So you can see that in all the places. So go ahead and check out Johnny right there. So appreciate you, brother. Johnny's always been great throughout, my streaming saga, going through this and playing video games and becoming a great friend throughout the years. And, and even somebody that I bounce off spiritual questions with. So, Johnny's always been great. So appreciate you, brother. It gets sensitive around here sometimes. We get real deep. You guys know how it is right here. But I did have an opportunity. So one of the things that I've been able to do lately and catalog for you a little bit is being able to go out shooting a little bit more often, which is always great because sometimes I haven't been giving the Second Amendment stuff as much love as I should be here. So we're going to talk a little bit about that to start the show. We're going to talk not necessarily specifically about the protest because I know that's been pretty much sweeping the entire topic of conversation along with the Trump trial in New York and, everything going on with Israel and Gaza. You guys know that I like to take a different approach from things, not necessarily talk about exactly what everybody's talking about the way that they would. So we're going to talk a little bit about how postmodernism kind of swept through the college system, because this is kind of at the core of everything that we're seeing, metastasized throughout the universities and that we've seen before, with Antifa, BLM, and every kind of, authoritarian, whatever you want to call it, anarchist left-wing movement through universities throughout the 60s until now. So we're going to talk about that and, rules for radicals, which I've talked about in the past, but hey, this is a new channel, so to speak. So we'll talk about rules for radicals again and go through that. And then we'll close it out if we have time again with the Helldivers stuff and the disaster with Sony. It seems like this poll is going, pretty close right now. 57 or 47, 53. So closer than I thought, but we're going to keep that poll going until, for about another hour. So, as people jump in there, go ahead and check that out. But this week I did have the opportunity to go shooting again. I'm fortunate enough to be, not too far from, there's gun ranges everywhere. So I've been taking more time to do that. Usually I have time during the day to jump there for about, 45 minutes and, during lunchtime and to go there. So I took a few handguns this time. And in the past, I've been notoriously mediocre with handguns, I'll admit, because I've had some issues with my hands that, actually I've been able to deal with over the last few months, which is great. And so this is kind of the first time that I've shot handguns since then. And I've seen a lot of improvement, so I'm happy now that I can kind of really practice and hone in on my handgun skills. And, because rifles are pretty easy. You got dots, you've got optics. It doesn't matter whether you're shooting, the Mark 18 back here or, PCC, the 308s that you've seen here before. It's all pretty easy with a rifle. Handguns are really more of an art at any distance, whether it's, 3 yards, 7 yards, 25. And then if you're crazy, going out to 100 yards and beyond and being able to shoot steel, which credit to you guys. I'm going to have to work on that before I get there. But it was a lot of fun to go out, just pretty therapeutic. So I'm left-handed, so that's why all my guns are lying the way that they are. But I took out, just a selection here. I did have a 22 that I don't have shown here, which is the Ruger Wrangler, which is a single action only a revolver, which you guys saw when I showed the Fallout stuff a couple of episodes ago. Which shout out to Eric with Cheating Death Custom Guns. I gotta link back up with him. I've been super busy, so I gotta get back up with him and see how he's doing. Talk a little bit more about the Fallout show. I know that he enjoyed it. Yeah, this is just a kind of a selection of the handguns that I took out that day. And it's, going from right to left. I'm going from the Shadow Systems XR920. So I was tweaking the red dot on this one a bit because I had installed it and hadn't shot it since then. But it's an awesome gun. What can I say about it? It's, a full-size grip. So like a Glock 17 grip with a Glock 19 barrel assembly. So kind of the reverse of what most people kind of like. But I really wanted kind of the full-size grip. I haven't had a gun like that before. And I really like the setup of that one and the price I got it for. So sometimes that's what you go for. That's part of the factor. And I really love the way that gun shoots. After that, we've got the Canik TP9 SF Elite. So that's kind of a compact. It's not that bad, Johnny, being a lefty and being a gun that bullpups are usually the issue, but a lot of them are ambidextrous. It's just a pain switching. So that's really where I run into problems, but I shoot ambidextrous if I have to. I am cross-eye dominant, so I shoot better with my right hand, with my right eye. With pistols, it's not a problem because you bring up the pistol, you're looking forward with both eyes open. If you're, you should learn to get up to that point. And then you bring, your sights up to your eyes. You don't bring your eyes up to your sights. So you look, and then you bring the gun up to your eyes, and you get used to doing that with practice. Dry fire helps a lot, obviously. So that's the way you should do it. Work to get up there. Don't do the one eye thing. It's not good for you. You lose your peripheral vision too if things are going on. Somebody comes up to you. It's nasty business. You're going to get owned. So that's what I would encourage there. But I'm not an instructor or anything. So take formal classes and follow the 4 rules of gun safety and common sense. No. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Know your target and what's behind it. All that good stuff. It's good stuff. That's all you got to do. And what else do we have? We have the Canik TP9 SF Elite. I love it. It's a great gun. Turkish, great trigger. And I think that probably the best factory trigger that you can get out of the box. This one is the kind of in between what the modern ones are, which I really that'll be my next pistol for sure. Probably one of the newer Caniks. The what is it? The black S, I think is what it's called. The SFX Elite S. It's the steel frame one. So I've got a ton of Canik magazines, that I got years ago as a gift. And I've only got one Canik, so I need another one. And honestly, I shoot this pistol lights out. I shoot it almost as well as the gun that's right next to it with the wooden grips, which is the Ruger SR 1911 lightweight Commander. It's a mouthful, and it's, something that we love there. So, are you not getting sound here? Let me know if you're not getting sound, everybody. You should be. Let's see. Let me know. Are you getting sound there? Oh, you do have sound? Okay. All right. Yeah, just let me know if you don't have sound or if you're muted or anything like that. Okay. Cool. I figured you guys would have let me know because I was talking for a while. and you would have known. So, yeah, let me know if you're not getting anything there. Appreciate it. So, that's the Ruger SR 1911 lightweight Commander, big mouthful. Basically, it's a it's a 9mm Commander style 1911. So some people would say blasphemous because it's not a 45. I say it's pretty amazing because it's the best of both worlds. If G Webbs was in here, he would say it's heresy, I'm sure. But what can I say? It's a great shooting pistol. I think, the way that things started with it speaks for itself. This is the 1911 again with me tweaking the XR 920's red dot. So the 1911, this is at 7 yards, so that's the distance there. Not anything crazy. So I'm not trying to show anything impressive because I'm not by any means a great pistol shooter. This is me now that I can actually hold my hand steady, shooting. So I'm pretty happy with these results, and I was able to shoot the numbers on a few of them. So, and the Canic, I got similar results to this. The other ones were a little bit bigger. I shoot better with iron sights than red dots. So ironically enough, after the 1911, we've got my trusty SIG P365 XL with the green dot sight. I don't have the picture for that one, but I actually did shoot pretty good. I would say the group was about double the size of the 1911, but I'm really happy with that gun. Being able to shoot it that way. So, probably a group that size at 7 yards. I still have to get used to dots. You'd think that shooting with dots with rifles, but I really have just gotten used to iron sights with pistols and very basic iron sights. And it's really weird for me. I can't explain it, what it is. 3-dot sights. The basic Canic is just black on the back with a red fiber optic in the front. The Ruger that I've got on the very end there is the newer Ruger LCP Max, which has a fiber or like a tritium front sight with a U-shaped back notch. I shoot it much worse than I do the original LCP2, which just has regular blacked out dots that I have filled in with, Sharpie. Fluorescent Sharpie, and I shoot that really, really well. But this one, I shoot horrendously in comparison. I would say enough for self-defense, but we're talking like, much bigger groups like this, whereas the LCP, I probably shot like that, which honestly I was flabbergasted with a 380, and I could really bullseye. Like first shot placement was really good with that pistol. This one is a lot trickier. I think it's because that front is a lot larger. So that really makes a huge difference how fine it is. Now, if your vision's not great, a dot is going to be better for you. But I still shoot really well with these 3 dots, focusing on the front sight. And, especially that first shot, I can usually shoot, really pretty well. I'm happy with it so far. So with a lot more practice, especially with these other, the SIG and the shadow systems, I think I'll be pretty proficient. So, and then you got to shoot on the move and do other things, but I'm really happy with the results there. Let's see what the chat has to say. I'm no good with pistols, says Good Wrench. Pistols are really tough. I really think that anybody that says that they're a great pistol shooter, I mean, you really have to see it for yourself. Like, I think this is pretty good. I'm happy with this. It's not anything crazy. I mean, you can see that I've got scatters. It depends on the pistol that I'm shooting with and what I'm trying to do with it. I really, with the 1911, the Canic, sometimes I think it's crazy how well I shoot with them. But this is, static fire. It's not me running around doing a competition or anything like that. So that's where a dot is going to be a lot better, in my opinion, because you can kind of wait for it. And iron sights are going to be a bit tougher there. You can't wait that long if you're shooting for time in certain situations. So, there's going to be give and take, and practice, especially dry firing, with the gun unloaded, just bringing it up, practicing your trigger pull, practicing, your sight alignment and focusing on that. It really is hugely beneficial to you. And it makes you more proficient, not just as a shooter. It makes you a lot safer. It makes you more comfortable with the controls of your firearms. All of these are fairly similar, but I'm a left-handed guy, so I've gotten to get used to having my magazine release on the right hand or on the left hand side. So, you know, I kind of have to do this thing, and I'm used to it. It's still quick. It's not the same. The Canik, unfortunately, had flipped to be the opposite way, so I've got to flip it back. So that's a lefty gun, so it threw me off. But obviously, being a thumb placement there, it worked out. Ambidextrous would be great. It does have a big ambidextrous magazine release, which again, something I wasn't used to because all these other guns have right side or left side hand releases for right-handed shooters. So I've gotten used to that. And again, you know, manipulating a firearm that way. So it's not that difficult for me because I've just, you know, gotten used to being in that world. And I've, you know, kind of forced shooting left-handed. I can shoot right-handed. I do practice shooting right-handed probably, you know, maybe a quarter of the time, if we're being honest. And I can get away with it, especially because I am right-eye dominant, so I'm not terrible. It's just more getting used to the mechanics of doing it and you know, shifting over the grip and all that stuff. But as far as Zeltroid had another question about cheap 2011s, you know, we really just need to see reliability. I think the 2011 is a fantastic platform because the 1911 is already a fantastic platform. I've shot extremely expensive 2011s before, so the staccatos, and I love them. You know, what can I say? But that's about as Gucci and as expensive of a, I mean, they're much more expensive guns than staccatos, but $3,000 or $4,000 for a handgun is a very big deal for, you know, 90% of people, even more. Even if you have a lot of money, you'd still be like, wow, that's a lot for a handgun. But they're fantastic. You do get what you pay for. I do think the cheaper ones would be great. That Ruger SR 1911 that I've got, I mean, a staccato with iron sights, do I shoot it that much better than that Ruger? I gotta be honest. I mean, if we're talking about trying to shoot targets as accurately as possible on the range and showing off, the staccato is going to absolutely dominate. The magazine capacity is going to trump it because it's a double stack magazine. But you know, even if it's double, even if I'm 2 times better, let's say my groups are half the size of that Ruger. I mean, you saw I hold quite a few at 7 yards with that. So I don't know. Maybe now I'll shoot the staccato so much better that I'll just be like, you know what? It's a beast. It's totally worth it. But those guns have compensators. I've shot ones with red dots. They're fantastic. They're like lasers. It's like you're cheating. So I've got to shoot these budget 2011s. 2011 magazines are also notoriously expensive if they're a universal design, and they're difficult to get because every time somebody comes out with a 2011 that's around $1,000, everybody goes crazy, especially if it's halfway decent. Everybody wants one. I haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet. I'd love to see Ruger do something like that. It'd be great for, you know, maybe that price range. But, well, you know, time will tell. I think we have to see a lot better, you know, examples that have been around for a long time. Or you know, a lot better, you know, data on these guns as they come out. Because, you know how it can be. But just as we've seen a lot of good Glock clones come out over the last decade, maybe it's the 2011's time to shine. It's something that people have wanted. I know I've wanted it. You know, the grizzled millennials, so to speak, who had a love of these boomer weapons from World War II because of the influence that movies like Saving Private Ryan had, video games like Medal of Honor and Call of Duty had for us in the early, you know, late 90s and early 2000s. I think that really invigorated that market and those weapons, be it the 1911, the M1 Garand, the M1 Carbine, the Thompson, you know, weapons that were already timeless, but really got a boost from that. And I think we still love them because of that. So that really, you know, is a market that still needs to be tapped because now, you know, we have, you know, we're in a position where we can get guns like that. But hey, you're still budget minded. So I think that if these guns are reliable and we can get access to magazines It's great. Why wouldn't we want that? I think that the John Wick market has absolutely up to 2011's, profile. I think anything that Terran Tactical touches, there's a Canic now that's out, which is still at a really good price at less than $1,000. But that's the most expensive plastic Canic you can get. It's not that much different than the rival, the regular plastic rival, which is like $650. So I don't know, is it $300 better? 50% better? I don't know. I don't know if it is. And that's the case for a lot of these other guns. You really need to try these things if you have the opportunity to go to events, local range events, things like that. Any SHOT Show, any of these big YouTuber events that they allow the public to go to, if you can make it to them, I encourage you. Shoot a lot of these guns. Go to your local range, rent something if you're allowed to rent Gucci guns. The ammo, even if you're spending $50, $100 to try this, is a lot cheaper than spending $4,000 on a gun that you may not like, especially if you try one of these more inexpensive ones. And if you're being realistic with yourself of how much you go shooting, do you need to spend the money on the better gun? Now, if it's something that you're relying to save your life with, then going with, something that's a little bit more reputable, obviously, is what I would recommend. But sometimes there's all that you can afford and you get what you can get. And then there's, you kind of just want to try something out for fun and you don't really care whether it's the best or not. You just want to have a good time with something. So there's different levels and it's totally fine. There's a lot of options out there. That's what makes the market that we have so fantastic. And, I think that we've really gone through a renaissance of firearms and especially budget firearms over the last few years. And it's coming down to companies like Palmetto State Armory. I think they've been doing a great job with the guns that they've come out with. I'm not a shill for them. They don't give me anything none of these companies do. I've used a lot of their parts. Brownells has been great too. They did give stuff in the past to locked and loaded Latinos, but as far as me or anything like that, that hasn't gone down. But I always love what they have to get there. Primary Arms is great to buy stuff from as well. If you're buying parts, they always have good sales. So there's a lot of options there to outfit firearms, build your own guns, buy things that are at good prices that are pretty cool. And you can even buy like the Daniel Defense Mark 18 upper I have. That really wasn't expensive. You can get that stuff on sale. So it's pretty sweet. We're graced with the presence of Destroyer of Desktops and Spiller of Water. Hail Zeltroid. Oh, man. He got you, man. He got you. Wayfair got you there, Johnny. So, we're really in a good time for that. Despite ammo prices not being where they are, they'll probably go up because of everything that's going on. Unfortunately, it is an election year. So, how those things go. But we shall see. There is good news on that front, which, we've been seeing a lot of progress when it comes to concealed carry and a lot of other initiatives when it comes to guns and the Second Amendment. Tennessee now is going to allow concealed carry handguns for teachers. So I think that that's great progress. This is from the local Knoxville News Sentinel. We'll go through this real quick here. So good news and just spreading the good word here about the Second Amendment and good things that happen here, because sometimes we get upset about what goes down in a lot of these blue states. But hey, we've been making some progress, and we've got to highlight that. A new Tennessee bill passed April 23rd. So this was a couple weeks ago, but we took last week off. Paves the way for teachers and staff to carry concealed guns in schools. Teachers who wish to carry a gun in the classroom have to meet several conditions, and they have to work for a district that allows them to do so. Several superintendents have said they don't need or want more guns. So it is optional. It could be better. But hey, this is progress, right? Some of the bill's language is still being interpreted. For instance, it applies to those employed by the school district as a faculty or staff member, but the bill gives no clear definition of staff member. Schools employ contracted staffers for some jobs, including custodians and bus drivers. Here's what we know about the bill that allows Tennessee teachers to be armed. Which school staff members can carry guns? The bill says faculty or staff members can carry guns, but the definition isn't well defined. Even the legislators who vote on the bill don't share common understanding, so this will be interesting. But, you know, well, they'll figure it out. Hopefully. We'll see. State Rep Sam McKenzie, a Knoxville Democrat who voted against the bill, told Knoxville News staff means teachers, custodians, librarians, cafeteria workers, school board members not included. He said he wasn't sure about bus drivers. School districts may have to have lawyers look at the language to decide who fits the definition of the bill, said State Senator Briggs, a Knox County Republican who voted for the bill. State Rep Gloria Johnson, a Knoxville Democrat who voted against the bill, said the option extends to all full-time employees. Can parents object to having armed teachers or staff in schools? The bill does not require school districts or schools to disclose which staff members are carrying guns. If parents have an objection to teachers and staff members in their child's school districts carrying guns, they could talk to any one of the three decision makers: superintendent, principal, or local law enforcement representative. Briggs said, like the definition of staff, however, whether a single decision maker carries the veto power isn't clear from the bill. Johnson said there is no mention of opt-outs in the bill or options for parents who object to their child being in the classroom. You know, you're not going to get the option any more than anybody else that's a concealed carry holder. Well, because, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of people that when, you know, I may be out in public concealed carrying a firearm, and now anyone in Florida can do that, you know, legally without a permit. You know, any citizen, you know, resident of Florida, any citizen can do that. So that can legally, you know, own a firearm can do it. You know, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want a gun near me. Well, there's probably quite a few that you really don't know about everywhere. You know, when you go to the mall, when you go to church, when you go to the movie theater, everywhere there's guns. There's people that are concealed carrying. Oh my gosh. So you can't opt out of that. That's the way that it is, any more than you can opt out of freedom of speech or, you know, anything like that, or cars on the road, which isn't even a right. So should there be an opt-out for this? Absolutely not. That would be pretty ridiculous. So once that cat is out of the bag, it is there. So this is it. This is the world that we live in. So you got to get used to it. And I think people need to embrace their rights instead of being scared. Doesn't mean that you need to be, you know, like myself, going out to the range all the time, being a huge Second Amendment, you know, rights advocate. But you do live in a world where, hey, you know, people can own guns. They can carry them at all times. Teachers are going to be able to carry guns in a lot of cases. So get comfortable with this idea, because it's a reality that you live in. Just like, you know, they try to force feed other things that are not reality. Well, now this is reality, and you actually have to deal with this. So I think rather than being afraid of it and even being in complete opposition, we need to educate people on this better and get them so that they're not afraid of this, that be more encouraging about it. And not even just, look, we can, amongst ourselves, we can celebrate this and be like, high five, man. We got another win for Second Amendment rights here. That's great. But we don't have to, you know, we don't have to, you know, rub it in people's faces unless, you know, you're fighting, you know, gun grabbers on X and social media. That's totally different story. But if you're having conversations with normal people and they're, you know, maybe they say they're concerned about this, have some empathy about it, talk about it, give them the facts and say, like, look, ultimately, like, this is the reality that we live in. You should just be more educated about it, because even if you try to come up with legislation to oppose the Second Amendment, look, technically you could change the Constitution. It would take a heck of a lot of work. I don't think that it would win to, you know, overturn the Second Amendment or create an amendment that basically voids the Second Amendment or freedom of speech, for that matter, or anything like that. It's in theory, it's possible, but we don't live in a world where that is a reality. So let's just, hey, you got to accept it, right? That's how it is. Just like we have to accept people that say stupid things that we don't like. Unless Congress passes bills that are a little bit ambiguous in their meaning as well. So this is where bill ambiguity can become a problem, and the can of worms they can bring. But I'm not going to go too deep into what Congress has been up to and their shenanigans lately. But this is good news. Knox County has not made a decision yet, so that's where this local newspaper is. But hey, this is good news for the Second Amendment. Looks Texas is fighting back as well against legislation. So we're making a lot of progress here, and I think it's always a good time to be a gun owner if you're interested in it. There's a lot of great programs out there. There are a lot of great options for new firearms. Like I emphasized here before, you really have to go with the try it before you buy mentality. When it comes to guns, try something that you're comfortable with. Don't go with what people say. If you have friends that own guns, I was always very fortunate from a young teenage, I should say, my 18s and beyond, to have friends that were into firearms. Some of them who watched the show and that I still, talk to and hang out with when I can, and hopefully go shooting again with soon, because we really need to. They've nurtured this passion for it, and I kind of took it for granted for years. Now, obviously, I advocate for it, and it means a lot more to me. And so does this entire freedom movement, whether it's freedom of, your right to keep and bear arms, or the First Amendment, or everything else that comes with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It really has become a passion for me. And so I really want to foster new gun owners, people who are new to the fight, have some positivity for it, because things have been very good when it comes to the Second Amendment over the last few years, despite how other things have gone down the crazy, the crazy direction. So it seems that despite how, people may think one way publicly, or, certain conversations seem to win in the culture war, we really have been pushing back, especially when it comes to Second Amendment rights in this country. And I think it's good. And we'll see more and more of it as time goes on, and as we have more encouraging stories to share, more good things, will come down the horizon. G-Webs is always very positive about this. And he's as old school as they come when it comes to this. Excuse me. So really go ahead and check him out when it comes to that. And I would really encourage all of you to try things out if you want to. Going between coffee and water. So I think we've done a pretty good opening there. That was pretty much an impromptu opening, talking about firearms, talking a little bit about Destiny, talking about Epic Verse, and this is how it is, right? I just kind of riff with what I've got, with what's going on. I think now for a little bit we can talk about what's been going on with Helldivers and that entire fiasco. I can see that the poll is actually a little bit closer than what I thought it would have been, and I'm a little bit surprised. So for those of you that don't know, Helldivers is a third-person shooter. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Developed by Arrowhead Studios, and it is published by PlayStation, so Sony. And it came out a couple of months ago to huge fanfare. Indie title for $40 on PlayStation and on PC on Steam. On PlayStation, if you play online, obviously you need to have a PlayStation Network account. That's kind of always been the case there. There are a lot of games that Sony owns that you can play on Steam or other I think Steam may be the only place that Sony games are available. That I'm not sure about. But you can log in with your PSN account if you want to sync stuff, or they may require it. I own a few, Horizon Zero Dawn and things like that. I don't remember if I have to link it, but it may or may not be the case. But anyway, you would play with your Steam account. You could link it to your Sony account if you wanted to on Steam. You didn't have to. You could use just your Steam friends list. And, everybody was cool with it because of the attention to detail in the title. The music is great. The gameplay is fantastic. And, a lot of the background lore that's silly and the social commentary and familiarity to, everyone's favorite bug killing game, Starship or movie franchise, Starship Troopers, was running its way through it. You guys know that I love the game as far as gameplay and everything like that. We've been playing it here every Friday for about 4 or 5 weeks now. We got the old man into it a couple of weeks ago. So, and a lot of other people have been playing it on different channels. So it's unfortunate to see what's gone on. I know the other day I didn't know too much about it, so I didn't care because I've got a PlayStation 5. I've linked accounts with it before. I know that Sony, unfortunately, is pretty bad when it comes to security. A lot of these companies have been in the past, and it's the nature of the beast. When you're a PC gamer, Steam is usually your easiest bet, but you end up with a lot of different accounts, especially if you have Game Pass. You're going to end up signing in with Microsoft, Steam, Ubisoft, EA, Epic. If you're playing Fortnite on PC, everybody's got a launcher. If you're buying from GOG, you can avoid DRM and all that stuff in a lot of cases for certain games. But ultimately, you're logging in. So it's like, what? As a PC gamer, you're kind of SOL. So at the time, I was like, what? It's kind of the nature of the beast. It really sucks, but it is what it is. As time has gone on, we found out that PlayStation Network accounts aren't available in every country. That's a serious problem. So a lot of people that bought the game where Steam is available, now all of a sudden Sony has pulled the rug out from under them, and they're required to add this account. So let's look at this. Started on May 2nd, when this came out on this is from Steam with Helldivers, their community update here. Attention Helldivers, due to technical issues at the launch of Helldivers 2, we allowed the linking requirements for Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network account to be temporarily optional. The grace period will now expire. See details below in this post. Account linking plays a critical role in protecting our players and upholding the values of safety and security provided on PlayStation and PlayStation Studios games. This is our main way to protect players from griefing and abuse by enabling the banning of players that engage in that type of behavior. It also allows those players that have been banned the right to appeal. As such, as of May 6th, which is going to be tomorrow, as of today, all new Helldivers players on Steam will be required to connect their Steam account to a PlayStation Network account. Current players on Steam will start to see the mandatory login from May 30th and be required to have linked a Steam and PlayStation account, network accounts by June 4th. PlayStation Network accounts are free and easy to set up using this link. Cool. Well, Destiny the Final Shape does start on the 4th. So maybe we'll just stop playing Helldivers at that time. If this doesn't change, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided that yet. The poor old man is just like, really? Like, now everybody's banning this game. I just started getting good at it. And everybody wants to leave. And it sucks. That's the way that things are. So, this was where we started. And it was like, well, this is scummy, but, a lot of other companies require you to do this. The fact that they're doing it after the fact really sucks. And, we've been so burned by so many other games. I can understand why people were really pissed. I was just like, well, I'm about to play it right now. So I'm jumping on. And, I kind of looked at in the past, we've wanted decentralization and kind of a deconsolidation of our products. We used to have the cable companies, the big phone companies, and we broke them up. We wanted different competitors, more competition, more markets, and we got that. And then, cable TV had different bundles. Those bundles became huge. These companies almost monopolized on this. So we kind of embraced streaming, when it allowed us to decouple ourselves from those companies and have different options. But now, you know, we have so many streaming services, so many logins, all this stuff. It kind of sucks, and we want that convenience again. So we can't decide as the market what we want sometimes. The more libertarian perspective is to have all this competition in different storefronts. But where it does suck is where, you know, a company will pull the wool from under you and not give you the options to even alleviate this issue. So you may be pissed off already that you have to get a PlayStation account, and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to do that because I don't want to deal with Sony. I don't trust them. It's another login that I really don't want to have anything to do with. Hey, that is totally fine. I totally get it. And ultimately that's fair. I'm trying to send another screenshot to myself here, so bear with me. And it you know, it's really when this happens here, let's bring this up, that it becomes a serious problem, which is when you region lock people that, you know, purchase the game, and that's, you know, that's really an issue. So now all these countries or regions, they can't play the game because they don't have PlayStation accounts. I think Sony went back on this, but then, you know, Sony going back on this really highlights a huge issue, which is that if it is okay now for these countries to be able to continue on the way that they had, which is just using Steam, why can't everyone else do that? And I think that's really the craw, and that's where now you've got me upset, because, you know, knowing that these people were going to be excluded, that's really scummy that they lose access to their product. It was a compromise that now they didn't have to use it. I think it's cool that they can use their product again, but why does everybody else have to log in with their PlayStation account if they don't want to? And, you know, companies can do this. You can choose to do what you want here. You know, I still haven't decided what I'm going to do, for goodness sake. So I think it's a business. I think it's a business decision. Yeah, Digital Doom says Steam is refunding the region locked areas, last I heard. And I think that's fair, especially because Steam didn't have anything to do with this in the first place. So, you know, it's not really their fault. This was Sony's decision. So I think it does highlight an issue here, especially with what we've seen with Sony lately, but, you know, even Microsoft too. And it really sucks because we are beholden to a lot of these platforms. We do have options playing on the PC, but, you know, sometimes, you know, even when you rule with your, you know, vote with your wallet, you know, certain experiences are certain experiences. Like Helldivers is a fun experience. It is unique in what it does. There are other games to play, but sometimes you just like to play the games that you like to play. And I think coming from somebody who's from the grizzled millennial generation, again, where we didn't have all the live service games that we have today, we stayed with games for a long time, usually years, you know, at a time in between releases. You know, there were years between Halos and all that stuff, and you'd keep playing Halo 2 for like 3 years in a lot of cases. Yeah, maybe there would still be the Call of Duties that came out at that time and other single player games, but you stuck with a lot of those games. So I think that, you know, there is a loyalty that you have to certain games, and sometimes you have a desire to that loyalty too. I think streamer culture has changed a lot of that, you know, the need to stay up with the newest fads and all that stuff. I think Helldivers appeals to me as a game just because of nostalgia for Starship Troopers, Aliens, I should say, more specifically. You know, kind of thinking how ODST should be or should have been, and what an ODST game could be, the type of humor that it has, how well done it is, the attention to detail, the gunplay, good gameplay. So it really sucks to see things like that. And it's a shame, to see things like that with games you really like and that are well made, ultimately, and see publishers do this stuff. And I don't know if we're, we have more power than ever to change a lot of these companies. So, letting your voice be heard is extremely important. And I think it's going to have an impact here. Unfortunately, Arrowhead Studios is going to take the brunt of that. So I think that, it's going to ultimately, could it kill the game? It could in certain ways. I think if streamers stop playing it, that's really where you're going to run into problems, especially with a game like this. And ultimately, it's going to suck. Can you rehabilitate that image? Maybe. I think because the game itself is good, you can. It'll never be what it was before because of this a fiasco, just because of the climate that we live in, which sometimes I think, admittedly, is a little bit too sensitive, especially when we do have games that we like and enjoy. Power World, unfortunately, seemed almost like a flash in the pan fad. But we had a lot of fun with Power World when it came out. Helldivers seemed like it was the next one that really had more legs and was kind of a beacon there. But now with this, a lot of people are disappointed. And with everything that's been going on with Sony, and it's funny because for a long time, especially the numbers show that PlayStation 5 is selling at like more than double the rate that Xbox is in. Xbox has made some really, really bad decisions. Microsoft itself, we should say. Microsoft is a woke juggernaut in many respects. Xbox has always had to contend with that, and it's been poisoned by it as the years have gone by. And I think Xbox's first stumbling blocks weren't wokeism. It was trying to make the Xbox One. We all know that back in 2013, I believe, or that era. We saw how badly they stumbled with the Xbox One. First, the naming convention, not calling it the Xbox 2 or the Xbox 720, the Xbox 3 or the Xbox 720 after the 360, which 360 was great. They called it One. It was kind of like Wii U. And, making it the Kinect, requiring the Kinect, making it less powerful than the PS4, requiring it to be always online at first, major missteps instead of being a gaming first console, which the Xbox 360 was, which I always contend that the Xbox 360 is probably one of the most beloved console of all time, even if the sales numbers don't show it, because you have to have a console that's beloved to overcome the red ring of death, which for those of you that don't know, the red ring of death was an issue that plagued a lot of early Xboxes where they would have an overheating issue with some of the thermal paste on the CPU or the main processor, because those are usually combined on these consoles. And they would cause it to overheat and eventually die, and you get this red ring on the front LEDs of the console. And it was a huge problem. I had multiple Xboxes because of it. A lot of other people did, but we kept getting it because we cared about the games. We loved the 360. The exclusives it had, the controller it had, Xbox Live as a service was great. It really was a console that embraced those midnight launches, the LAN parties, the online play, all of that. Hail Hypnotic, killing it as usual. Great to see you, brother. He's been, saying a lot of great stuff and rallying the cry on everything that's been going on with this Helldivers stuff too. But, so Microsoft was there. They were the bro console, so to speak, the gamers console, really everything that was the antithesis in the 360 era of Gamergate and everything that followed, everything that we see today. So to see where Microsoft has fallen and now seeing Sony kind of do, because, the console war was always a thing back then, much more than it is today, especially with people that are my age that, we can get everything. And ultimately PC is really what you go with if you've got the option to do so. It really sucks to see these two companies in particular, Nintendo's kind of done their thing. You know, where they misstep is they experiment with their hardware and they get a little bit carried away with that stuff. They don't know how to name stuff most of the time either. So, you know, with their luck, they're going to come out with a Switch 2. It's going to be a Switch 2 physically, and they're going to name it some other crazy stuff. And because of that, people are going to get freaking confused, and they're not going to know what the hell is going on. They're going to call it like the Switch U or something, and that's just going to throw people off. They're going to be like, what? Switch U? Switch me? Switch who? You know, that's where Nintendo really messes things up. You know, despite their online being terrible, their online services, they make it through. And the Switch being obsolete when it came out and still being here and that not mattering, you know, they defy all odds when it comes to that. And for the most part, Sony has, but, you know, as console sales have kind of gone down, they've stagnated a bit. It sucks to see all of this and to see these companies, you know, kind of succumbing to the woke and those regular business practices that we thought we got away from. And I think, you know, I think we need to, we have to hold them accountable. We do have to appreciate the older titles because look, these are the consoles that we've got now. If you own them, I would say play the older games. If the Fallout show inspired you to play Fallout games again, play the ones that you love. Even if it's Fallout 4, which honestly, Fallout 4 is what I liked and where I started, and I went in reverse, really. I played a little bit of Fallout 3 in New Vegas back in the day, but I didn't play them for years. Fallout 4 is the first one that I came back to, played to completion, enjoyed, went back to those, and I've loved them as well. I would love to see remasters of them. You guys know that I love the show immensely. So, you know, I've gone back and watched a lot of those episodes. Well, not a lot of those episodes. I've gone back and played a lot of those games, and I've really, really enjoyed that journey that, you know, of nostalgia. And I think that you know, Sony has made a huge misstep throughout all of this with these requirements. You really have to open things up. I think Microsoft, you know, for better or for worse, as much as I hate it, because I really did enjoy Xbox. I enjoy Xbox as a platform. I love the Series X and even the Series S to an extent for its convenience. You know, and that entire environment, the exclusives that I had. If it's going to become a multi-platform kind of service with Xbox being an ancillary thing, kind of like the Steam Deck, it'll be kind of sad. In a lot of ways, it'll be the end of an era, but I do understand it and opening that up and kind of competing and bringing more to the market. I think that Sony is always tried to emulate the successful things that its competitors have done, and but usually not necessarily in better. So we could argue that their first party titles have been superior for a long time. Their single player games are fantastic. I love God of War, love Horizon. You know, those games were great. The first Last of Us was a fantastic game. They have a lot of masterpieces out there. There's no arguing that, but I think that it has been a huge issue as the culture war has gone for these companies to keep up, as their hardware, you know, had a lot of scarcity in the beginning of this generation. I think, you know, even going with AMD to a certain extent has been a little bit detrimental, even though they can run a lot of these games pretty decently. I think that as technology has advanced, as ray tracing has become a bigger feature, you know, speed, especially processing power, is a bigger issue. That's been holding these consoles back. I think there's ways around that, especially there's a lot of games that can chug things out, but I think that there's a lot of excuses. PC has a lot of scalability. I think we're seeing a little bit more of that with the consoles, with newer patches and games allowing, you know, options between 4K 30, unlocked frame rates, 40 frames per second, all that kind of stuff. So Dirty Jersey, what's up? Good to see you in the chat. Tweed Tone, how's it going? I would love to see an ODST game. I think that would be, really, really phenomenal. We really have been moving, in a direction that, I don't really think the gaming industry even knows where it's going and what it's trying to do. Microsoft, I think, is ahead of the curve, and I think they were to begin with. Maybe they manipulated the market the way they wanted to after the Xbox One fiasco, and they chose to lose the war, the console war, to win the greater, gaming as a service, games as a service war, which seems to be where we are. As much as all of us want physical copies of our games, we all have succumbed to the Steam model, and PC gaming has become all about digital purchases. And consoles have moved that direction as well. As great as it is to go out there and get a physical copy, to have retro games, I love it myself. I own a lot of games digitally. There's a lot of games as services that I play as well. And, we're on the precipice of Xbox not having physical games anymore. How long until everyone else goes that way? Internet's gotten faster. If you have gigabit internet or faster, like I've had in the past, you can download even the biggest games pretty quickly. Storage is going to get cheaper too. And that's pretty much where it is. So I think, they really have to figure this out, what direction they want to go. I think microtransactions are always going to be here to stay, but we really do want games that are well made. And, this circles back to Helldivers and why, in a lot of ways, yeah, it is easy to say, and it is true, that there are a lot of other games that we can go to. And I think going back to older games is a big thing that we can all do. Especially just let these companies know that we want a lot of these old franchises to come back, but to be well made. So playing, the Master Chief Collection, playing Halo 3, things like that. Infinite's gotten better. If you like where it's at, I've got to try it out again. Johnny, I know, is down for that. I'm sorry, I keep bouncing off of that one. But I think that there is a lot of room, and I think that that's one thing that we can do. Going back to those older games, dealing with these companies that way. But again, it's so difficult to find well-made games in the modern era in indie titles. So that's where this really hurts. This one does hurt for me, because I really feel like, hopefully that's going okay there. Okay, I can see that. I really have enjoyed my time with Helldivers. I don't know what it is about that game. I think playing with my old man too, a new game, helps a lot, seeing him grow and get better at that. And, playing with the dudes here. But, hey, I can go back to Destiny 2 as well. It just sucks to see things like that happen. So it's just a sad way to go. Vane Game says, console manufacturers used to innovate storage media formats. Now they want to save money and still charge players more. Well, that's it. Xbox, allowed SSD upgrades and swaps, and you could plug in your own hard drive on the Xbox One. And then they still allow that technically on the Series S and X. But if you want the velocity architecture to take advantage of, modern NVMe speeds, then you have to use one of their memory cards, which, hey, I've gotten that too, because I love the Xboxes so much. So I bought into that, but I don't think it's great. It's not ideal. Sony at least lets you upgrade the hard drives or the SSDs on the PlayStation 5, but it's not ideal. And, they tried their own thing where their SSD is faster than what was on the market at the time, the PCIe Gen 3s. Now we're at Gen 4s and 5s, which are even faster still. So on PC, I've got Gen 4s out the wazoo, 13 terabytes worth of Gen 4s at this point. Ridiculous stuff, recording all the streams I used to do, and these nowadays, for a week, and then installing games. It gets wild, so you need a lot of storage. And it's, you can see the speed difference in the new consoles, even with, slower Gen 3 on the Xboxes. it makes a big difference. So I do think that they did need to innovate more. I think the physical media is an issue. I don't know if we're ever going to pass that now, especially because games are kind of leveraged as a service nowadays. They really have become that way. They're either incomplete or they can receive updates all the time. Some of them are good, content updates. Again, Helldivers is kind of an example of what was being good. And this is why I go back to why the situation is so hard. I know Hypnotic is there in the background. He's hardcore about this, and Hypnotic's take isn't wrong. And trying to get a refund in the game. And I think anybody that feels that way, you're not wrong for feeling that way. It's really a tough position to be in. When you've seen so many games that are legitimately really bad. But Helldivers has had issues with their community managers too, being woke and, talking crap to gamers. So I guess it's how much we want to tolerate all this stuff. Again, I'm not going to ridicule anybody one way or the other, because you spend your money and maybe you want to keep the games. Maybe you have good times with friends. What are you willing to tolerate on that stuff? And the security issues are also another factor that may, sway you and be like, hey, I love the game, but I'm not going to get a PlayStation account because I don't trust Sony. That's an extremely valid reason. So it's pretty wild where we're at with all of this. And ultimately we all have to make our own decisions as consumers. Sometimes we do our best. As somebody who's in this, as kind of a person who enjoys games, the streaming thing was kind of out of nowhere and crazy. You guys know my story. I've told it a million times. And you've kind of seen how I've gone through the last few years as just some dude that played with the rest of some of you in the Geeks and Gamers Discord, and I talked about guns on this channel too. And then Johnny thought I was pretty good at Fortnite, to kind of where I am today. And before doing gun stuff, it's been a wild ride. So, I never got into this to give commentary, and I may have a different opinion than everybody else because, I'm not doing the algorithm stuff or anything like that, or talking necessarily every day. Hypnotic's been killing it. So, I'm here every week casually, talking about guns and politics. But passionately about it, but, casually as far as the amount of times that I talk about this. But, it does bother me where we are and where these things are going, and the trends that we've seen with these corporations. Ultimately, though, the free market the free market goes both ways. And so you can't feel bad for these companies when they fuck things up, pardon my French. So you don't have to have loyalty to anything. And I think this goes to politics as well, and I think it's an important thing to say. So at the end of the day, you got to make your own choices of what you care about. You can't let the masses make the choices for you. If you love something, you have to decide whether you're willing to tolerate things. But you don't have to have loyalty to companies. You don't have to defend them. And you don't owe anybody an explanation to any of your choices for or against. You really don't. There are some of us that commentate on it. We talk about it and we put it out there. It's totally fine. You can if you want to. It is what it is. But you don't have to. You don't have to. And it's totally okay if you don't. Some people don't want to. Some people, they're just like, what, man, I want to enjoy what I want to enjoy, and I don't owe anybody an explanation. Totally great. I don't think games aren't necessarily the moralistic hill that you have to die on in our entertainment. It is part of the culture war, but I think, as we've seen lately, there are a lot of other issues that have kind of seeped beyond that because they're in the physical realm. So, talking about these things and talking about the protests, talking about the wars and the election, you're almost jumping through tiers of a priority almost. And that's where this show and the things I talk about are almost like jumping in between worlds, because I love gaming. I love the issues, the social topics here. Their significance because politics is downstream of culture. At the same time, it's like when things are going on in the real world too, you're bouncing back between which things are going to affect us immediately and which things are like a long run. So it's like, well, if society is collapsing really quickly, going towards an election, and we can have World War III, is that a bigger issue than, Sony's shenanigans again? Because I feel like if in a perfect world where we don't have World War III, we can mess with Sony for a long time and we'll fight. And that doesn't mean that you don't do it. I'm just talking about, for me, that as somebody that talks about so many different types of issues, it's wild sometimes just seeing like everything that's going on different layers of society, and how they all interact with one another, and they can influence each other. And I think that's really that's fascinating as somebody that's kind of in this world of streaming, but still very much just a normal person with a day job that doesn't rely on this, but has friends that do, and that have done this for a living and big time, and have interacted with people that have really created something out of this, and have done extremely well for themselves. You get to see different sides of all of this, and what things are significant, what things aren't, and how to approach those things. And I think it's fascinating from a cultural perspective. A lot of what I've seen and how it kind of molds my perspective. The things that you learn, just from what you've seen in the world, from reading, from politics, from interacting with other people that have more experience than you do. So it's wild. I'm going to keep going on this topic. We got like another 30 minutes because I forgot that we started 30 minutes later. So I got to get used to my usual rant times. So let's go through the chat. Wayfair says somebody did legally change their name to PlayStation 2. I think I remember that. Vane Game says more referring to DVD HD versus Blu-ray, which then all others adopted. That's true. Yeah, Blu-ray did win that war. And that had a lot of influence on the market. I think where you've seen consoles really, Steam did innovate in the digital download space. I think we can't argue against that. Consoles have embraced that. I think voice chat gaming really was brought to the mainstream with consoles. Obviously, TeamSpeak and other services like that, Discord, have been around for a really long time on PC. So it's not as if consoles, created that. But I think it became ubiquitous because of, Xbox Live requiring, voice capabilities, and that being integral to the Xbox itself rather than independent per each game like it was on PlayStation 2, where, games like SOCOM had voice chat, but other games that had online play didn't, because it wasn't integrated into the PlayStation 2 OS at the time. So I think you did see innovations there, or at least expectations where, now PC games have incorporated controller support, friends list, things like that. So you've seen a merge of PC and console gaming together, which has been good for the most part. I think it's been weird in others, more choice. So I think that, where I think really where we're going, and this is a greater kind of discussion about gaming. Vane says, again, I love Helldivers 2, and I usually don't like live service games. I bought it a month after release, never saw any mention about it. About the game on PlayStation Network. I don't plan to create one, but we'll keep playing until I can't. I think that's how a lot of people feel. They'll probably play it until June 4th, and honestly, that may be the way that I do it too. Just because Final Shape for Destiny is going to come out. I think I'm going to play that a lot at that time, and keep playing Fortnite and other things like that. We'll see if the old man is too heartbroken. We'll see how he feels, and what game that is an Insurgency Sandstorm we can get him to play, because now we've, I've let him borrow that gaming laptop. So the sky's the limit for him. If Ready or Not had controller support, I would already have gotten it for him. But It's still keyboard and mouse. So with that one, you know, we're gonna have to wait. He's gonna have to graduate to that. We're gonna have to train him somehow with keyboard and mouse. We're just gonna have to get one of the games that he knows. Maybe Insurgency is the one, and we'll train him with keyboard and mouse, get him comfortable with it, and then we can dump him into Ready or Not, and then you guys can see that. Or we'll teach the old man how to stream, and when he wants to play Insurgency, we'll be like, dude, just go live when I'm not, and when we're not playing together, and do it yourself, old man. And we'll encourage him to do that. He has the technology. We can build him. We can. So, and Vain Game says, game industry is the last front of the culture war that we can actually win because it's decentralized. I agree. And I think that that's part of what's good. It's the give and take, because Sony obviously requiring their accounts is kind of part of decentralization because it's their game that they publish, so they can kind of dictate that, just like any other publisher can be allowed to do that because they own their IP. And we advocate for any business to be able to do that. We as consumers can complain about it. I think more we expect accountability. So it's like, well, have it there from the start or say that you're going to do it. And I think that demanding better of businesses is great. I think ultimately we, as purveyors of the free market, also accept if a company doesn't listen to what we have to say, then it is what it is. Then we have to decide, is the game good enough to be worth it for us? And that's where we go. And I think if a lot of people are okay with it, I mean, that's the free market speaking again, right? We live and die by the free market when it comes to this stuff. So ultimately, if these are companies making these choices, private entities, we as users have a contract, we have something to do with them. We decide whether we use their goods and services and participate in a business transaction for them. So that's good. If it's not a government that's influencing this stuff, I'm totally fine with that, even if it sucks, you know, and you got to make that decision. Sometimes you got to trash them. Again, you don't want to have loyalty. You know, brand loyalty is one of the things that has been, sometimes it's fun. You know, ultimately it is fun. You know, teams, humans love conflict. We really do. For better or for worse, that's what we're into. So because we don't have legal violent conflict anymore, obviously there are wars that are overtaking this world as we speak, and people dying innocent and evil every day. You know, they're, you know, but not for entertainment the way that it used to be in the ancient world. You know, we have video games and sports and other games of skill. And I think, you know, we want to see good quality when it comes to that. We want to see competition. And I think that ultimately that's where a lot of it started, you know, in the gaming industry. Wanting to create a challenge, wanting to, you know, Kamo Rants. I mean, Kamo wants to come on the show. He does. He's asked for it. I know that you guys want it. Maybe that should be the poll. Like, we can finish this poll, and you guys can decide. Helldivers is, man, see, you guys are going to be upset if I end the poll now, because it's 52-47 that people say yes. So, but now I want like another poll that's like, do you guys want Kamo as the guest? Because we've got less than 30 minutes left in the show. I think it's important. So we've allowed the Helldivers poll to go on here for more than an hour. So it is 52-47. We're just going to end it. So I'm surprised, but it's still close. You know, it's almost 50-50. So that was 40 votes. Not too bad. We got 43 people watching. So it seems like most of you got it in there. So seems like people are still split about this, and I totally get it, because I know a lot of people that are playing it on PlayStation. So you're already like, well, you know, I'm not going to go in solidarity. And I get that, because, you know, look, gaming is not a religion, nor should it be. The things that we do, you know, we deserve better as consumers, and we should demand it. But at the same time, we don't just like we don't demand loyalty to these companies as consumers, we don't necessarily demand loyalty to one another. And, people shouldn't get to dictate how your entertainment is or even necessarily make you feel bad all the time. Obviously, if you can improve things for other people, that's awesome. But when it comes to how you spend your time and your money, people can influence that and maybe help you make good decisions. Like maybe spending more time exercising and reading than playing video games all the time, or other things, and eating healthier. Who knows? Other endeavors that we can do that may be more positive. But playing video games isn't a bad thing. Keeps you off the streets and joining anti-American and pro-Hamas protesters and violent agitators. So, Puerto Rico's been listed and can no longer be purchased. I heard that, Jose, and that sucks. It's on that list because it's not considered part of the U.S. for whatever reason when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's wild how that works and how weird that is. So it's, maybe Sony will reverse this. Will it be too late? I don't know. But, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. And if they do, should we forgive them or do we stay mad? This is always the eternal question as a consumer. And this is where we go back and forth, because a lot of these issues we seem to moralize. And then, it's like, well, what moral code do we use? Like, and this is like a greater philosophical question of like, I personally try to live, I'm a Christian. I live my life as a Christian. So I try to base a lot of decisions that way. So it's like, well, Christianity is about forgiveness. Do you treat companies that way when they do the right thing ultimately and they cave? Or do you punish them forever and say, we're going to set an example with you, kind of the way that like our enemies kind of do and why we dislike them? So I don't know. And I'm just asking the question because I'm one of those people that once you get to know me and it bothers some people, I don't always advocate. I don't know. You won't always hear me in a discussion actually tell you, unless somebody asks specifically what my opinion is or what I think is the right thing. I will sometimes present what the reality of the situation is, which is this is how most people are going to perceive it. This is how people that are opposed to you are going to perceive it. And then this is kind of what our blanket libertarian, conservative, freedom-minded position is going to be. And then I will tell you ultimately what I think. What I can tell you what I would want, but I can tell you realistically what will most likely happen no matter what. And then you kind of have to make a judgment of if you win your cause, because I think one of the biggest issues that we see, and this is kind of bringing it back, which I didn't get to my big topic of discussion, which was postmodernism, is we sometimes get back to the tactics that now I'm branching into the culture war and these protests and all this stuff and kind of the greater political consequences is there is no mercy from the left. It is, you must succumb or that's it. You got to bend the knee or not, and we'll never forgive you. That's kind of one of the things that we've always said about them, right? One of the biggest critiques that we have is that even if you cave to their demands, they will never forgive you, and that's terrible. And it's like, do we not do the same thing? Because I do hear a lot of people say, well, even if Sony, after all of this, because they had the audacity to do it in the first place, we are not going to forgive them, and I'm never going to play Helldivers again. Does it not sound like how the other side does things? I mean, to me, it kind of does. And I'm not saying that as even a critique. I'm just saying that that's kind of how it looks sometimes. And it's like, so what do we do? What is the right thing to do? And you can get philosophical and moralistic about it with whatever your moral code is. And, or do we do this on a case by case basis? Is it this that, we're mad at Sony because we've got a double whammy with Stellar Blade and now with this, and they've done more shenanigans recently, and we really now how many times do we have to keep teaching you this lesson, old man? That could be that could definitely be the case, And then we've given up on Microsoft because they've become pathetic at this point. I don't know. And sometimes I feel like we don't ask ourselves these questions because either we're afraid because a lot of people, maybe everybody is, quick to jump on it because we've been burned so many times. And this is something that I go back to. And what I've talked about with the Fallout show, you guys have seen kind of the debates that I've had with either people in the chat here or the discussions that we've had on Epic Verse. Some people have been really cynical about Fallout and enjoying the show because we've been beaten down so much by the negativity and by wokeism in politics and in the culture war, whether it's movies and video games or shows, all the things that we enjoy. And, we're tired of it. So I think we become snappy. And in some ways, we've almost been weakened. Our armor, there's only so much that you can do after a while. We do play video games. So your armor can be weakened and you can succumb to that. And, in some cases you can become the very snowflakes that we've made fun of in some cases. And are we too sensitive now sometimes? I don't know. Maybe that's some reflection that we have to have. And now we have no tolerance whatsoever when we complained that was what our adversaries and enemies showed in the first place, and we have no mercy. And is there room for mercy? Especially when a lot of times when you hear stories of people like, I used to be a Joe Biden supporter, an Obama voter, and I voted for Trump, or I used to be, anti all this stuff in gaming, or I was woke and then I realized how bad it was. And then, I flipped and we're like, yes, we want you to come over. You're redeemed. But then when we use the power of our wallet or our voice and we get the change that we want, we don't ever forgive. We're always like, no, I don't believe you. We're going to punish it. Maybe it requires multiple times of doing that because we've been dunked on multiple times and lied to. That's fair. It'll take time to repair these wounds. Ivan talked about that the other day, and part of why he decided to focus on weebs and waifus, negativity wears on you after a while. That's fair. I haven't heard that. And I think, in Epic Verse, that discussion, we've kind of been pretty positive. It's like I said, and it's been fun because I think a lot of times we just want to talk about why we love this stuff. And because the anger, we got angry for a reason. It's because we love these things. We're passionate about them. You look at my Steam library, it's freaking huge. Now I've gone off my postmodernism, so I'll have to bring that up another time because this has turned into a bigger discussion than I thought it would be, or a bigger rant, and kind of like something I haven't really discussed, but actually means a lot to me because, I've spoken with somebody that, I really, one of my favorite people to talk to. We always have discussions about things like this, about politics and gaming. And I appreciate the insight that she's got. And, this is something I've talked about. It's like, hey, sometimes have we become the people that we've been fighting against to a certain extent? And in the online world, do we sometimes chase the algorithm, or are we afraid to even, like, we become friends with other people that stream and all this stuff, and are we afraid to go against each other or have different opinions because we know that you guys in the chat, even if it's for fun, like you'll dunk on us or the chat will turn on you and all this stuff. And those are fears that I think a lot of people have because, they're human. Like I said, I do this because I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. I have a day job. Ultimately, look, if you guys want to donate to the channel, I really appreciate it. I'm blessed that I can do this for fun. And is it something I'd love to do more? Absolutely. But it's not what I rely on. And I enjoy the opportunities that I have here and the people that I've gotten to meet. But yeah, I think, have we succumbed to the negativity that do we feed on it ourselves? I think it's fair to say that. I think it is. I think I think long card road to redemption. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, you can't just flip overnight, and we always have to be skeptical of people that are trying to grift and be disingenuous about things. So I think for as much as Lofty's takes we don't like, or somebody else sometimes, or Ben, and we complain about it, at least they're being honest about it. So we can appreciate that. And I think that that's really important, being genuine about things. Like I've been with Starfield, like I've enjoyed Starfield. Like if we open it right now, like, I mean, we can do it. I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. I can own up to it. Cause this will tell you the truth here. Some of my friends list. I apologize here, guys. Well, we'll put it down here so hopefully you guys can see it, but not the entire friends list. We'll pull up Starfield. 176 hours, and I played 2 days ago for like a couple of hours. So, I mean, I can out myself when it comes to that. That's a game that, oh my gosh, everybody said like that game is woke trash and terrible. I didn't see that much in there any more than any other game. The pronoun stuff sucks, but hey, I played the game and I've enjoyed it so far, and feel like I've only scratched the surface. I'll probably put in a lot of other hours. So I'm not afraid to say that. And I think it's totally fine, guys. It's totally fine. I still play Fortnite, for goodness sake. Come on, I'm a grown ass man. That's how I got into this mess, and how a lot of you people in the chat have gotten to know me. It's because of Fortnite and playing games like that. So, but talking about deeper issues like this has also become an important passion of mine. But this world that you see around me, combined with this world, with the firearms and politics and love of the United States and an appreciation of freedom, that's really what it's all been all about. So I'm not afraid to ask, as somebody who I've always worried and focus on, philosophical and historical issues, current events, and, the things that are going on, the military industrial complex, politics, all that stuff. As I've delved deeper into the gaming world, I have a different perspective than a lot of other people. And I take the entertainment industry and all of this very seriously. At the same time, I kind of put things into perspective. I'm like, okay, like let's look at this. Like, have we gotten carried away about things? Or are we totally justified? And is this great? And we win as consumers, and we fight. Yeah, I think Starfield is a lot of fun. I think, now going on the side of Starfield here, if you can't get over the pronoun thing, and that's really a hill that you want to make a statement on when it comes to Starfield, go ahead and do it. That's totally fine. If you can get over that, I think there's a fun game to be had, especially if you like the Bethesda loop. I think if you wait until the update it's going to be the 15th of this month, I believe. Be careful, because I've heard that the update for Fallout 4, especially on PC, has been garbage, the next gen update, so to speak. I've played on Xbox for a bit. It's been pretty great as far as I've seen. Not that much time on Series S, but Series X for sure. And I have enjoyed it. I haven't run into issues, but I haven't played the entire game from scratch. I didn't play with mods on console. Usually on PC, it's where I do that. I haven't played Fallout 4 on PC with mods yet. I have done Fallout VR. That's probably annihilated, but I think that's independent from Fallout 4, and it has been for a while. So it may still be okay. So maybe on PC, who knows? I've played it on PC. I think this update's going to be huge for console, because it's going to allow you to do 4K 30, which you can do now, 60 frames, 1440p, or, a 40 frame per second kind of hybrid mode. It's like a quality at 40 frame per second if you play on a 4K 120 hertz screen or monitor. So that's good. That's what they did with Fallout 4, which I think is fantastic. It's more PC-like, and I think they're going to give you an unlocked frame rate option too for the 4K 30. So if you have a variable refresh rate display, then you have that option, which is great. I do too. I have those options available to me, so I love that. and you're kind of seeing a little bit of PC gaming level customizability. And you're kind of seeing where things are going. Like we're going into the PC direction, whether people like it or not. But again, that comes down to choice, right? I think Starfield it's crazy that I can jump between PC. I think the game does look good. You know, I've been playing Cyberpunk as well on PC with everything on, and the ray tracing is second to none. But there are parts of Starfield that look really good and look very Cyberpunk like. And you know, ray tracing aside, and so there are moments of beauty there that more so than other Bethesda games, because when we really look and you go back, if you do love Bethesda games, and again, I think it's a specific taste of game. I'm not saying that everyone will like it. If you go into it, I think Starfield gives you more options. I think if you really liked settlement building and things like that in Fallout 4, which a lot of people didn't like, that loved Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3, that's been pared back a bit. I think you can make it a big part of your games. I didn't. In Fallout 4, I did, just to get resources. You're going to get more crafting options for your ship as far as decorating and things like that. So, hey, for people that like that, that's cool. I think for the ships, that's an excellent option, because any part of a space exploration game is your ship. So I think that that's a good thing. And I think this is more of what we want to see. You know, we want to see post-game updates. And again, this now comes back to, do we forgive companies when they start doing good things? And I mean, I kind of think it's important, right? Do we want, if Disney Star Wars at this point may be totally irreparable, but if they came out with, you know, if they said, okay, we're going to make Legends or whatever it is called now canon again, or we're going to, you know, we're going to split this timeline, we're going to redo it, we're going to try to bring this back and make these things canon. They come out with serious movies like a trilogy, even if they lose a little bit of money, which at this point, who knows, maybe it would do okay because the regular consumers will buy it up, and then some of the fans may go back. And they do that, like, if they do that like 3 times in a row, do we give it back? If Marvel, if they try to reset and go back the right way, and they do, like, you know, 3 movies, 4 movies, 5, like what would it take? And would we ever do it? Is it going to come down to the studios groveling to the fans and apologizing for this and firing certain people? I guess you almost have to have a victory condition too. And maybe that's part of the problem with our movement. Like, we have the fight. So that, here's the positive aspect. We have the fight. Like, before, we used to just accept it. You know, hey, well, they're just going to add DLC, right? They're going to have a battle pass. They're going to have random packs that are totally RNG, and that's just the way it is. And you know, we're going to accept it. It's going to be like mobile games all the time. But now we fought back. A lot of those shenanigans have gone away. We have some power, but you know, we have to have the victory condition. It's like, and this is kind of where I see social movements on the left. It's their problem, and why they metastasize and they become something else. Like, let's take, you know, a civil rights movement, or even the LGBT movement. You know, you got gay marriage, you have equality and things like that. It's like, what more do you want? Like, a lot of those movements, when they have a nonprofit or a protest movement associated with them, a big organization like a GLAAD or an NAACP or any of these other movements, you know, when they get what they want, equality, voting rights, all these things, which are, you know, valid things, these social movements in a lot of cases, women's suffrage, you know, a lot of those organizations now, it's like, well, hey, we made a lot of money off of this. We completed our goal. Now we've got to find something else. And I think that's the crux of the issue. It's like, we have to have a victory condition, and we have to give them an opportunity to improve. Is the victory condition just total revenge, that we want these companies to be put out of business? I mean, we can do that. Do we have alternatives yet? Yes, there are companies like the Rippaverse and things out there. It'll take time for them to grow and to give us the variety of products that we have. I mean, if it takes a company like Bethesda 5 to 10 years to create a game, you know, we have to give people some credit that it's difficult to create content, to produce these things. It can take them years. Sometimes smaller teams are nimble and they can do it. Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas in a year. They had the engine there. They could work on that. So it is possible, but we also don't want crunch to happen, people to be fatigued and to be angry and resentful, to be underpaid and overworked, as we've seen a lot of game companies do as well. So victory is the lack of a fight. Yeah, that's what I agree. So, I mean, you can keep finding another, but you do have to have some victory conditions. So it's like if they start producing the products that you want and telling good stories, do you go back? I think you have to give them the opportunity to redeem. I think there has to be an opportunity for redemption, right? And yes, you have to trust but verify. They have to prove it. But I think ultimately we have to say to ourselves that we are willing to forgive, unless we really want revenge. Then go ahead and say you want revenge and that's your goal. Like, I want these companies to be totally bankrupt, burned to the ground, and my franchise that I loved completely destroyed, or maybe somebody else buys it. Instead of giving these corporations or individuals or people, whoever they are, the opportunity to change course. So yes, we do have to have the fight, but if they throw us a bone, they do the right thing. I mean, you do it. And sometimes we have to look at the impact that we have realistically. You know, are we having the impact that we want? I think in a lot of these cases we are. In other cases, we're not. It's like you look at it and the normies are just so into whatever it is going on that you're not going to win that fight. So maybe you take a different approach to trying to get the change that you want. But yes, and shout out to Eric July. He's always been a great friend over the years with all the things that he's done, and, you know, his show, and been a great influence and inspiration to a lot of people out there trying to break out into the comic space, or even being a creator and starting a business, and the connections that he's made throughout the years, the people that he's brought onto his team, and how he's vouched for myself and, you know, this channel's previous endeavors. You know, Eric has always been fantastic, so I appreciate him. So big shout out to him. But yeah, I think ultimately this goes down. This show, I didn't know where it was going to go. This is kind of the beauty of what I've tried to do here. Sometimes I've got topics that I want to go to. Today, I totally was thrown off because I forgot. You know, it was only the previous episode 14 that I switched over to the 7:30 slot, going until 9:30. So I'm still a little bit thrown off. I'll get used to it next week. I will throw a poll out on Twitter and on YouTube about if you guys want the old man to be a guest on the show next week, and if you guys want the old man to try to become a streamer himself, and for us to give him some of the resources. We can help. Commander can do it too. If you guys want to see both of them do their own thing, you know, we have the resources. We can do this. So let us know if you want that to happen. I will put a poll here. I will put a poll on Twitter. Go ahead, X. Go ahead and check that out. Thank you to everybody tonight. Let's look. I know I've been neglecting some of the other chats. We had a few people on Rumble. Rumble, you guys are always super there. Mark of Reality, you're correct. You know, the problem is that the issue is never the issue. The communist revolution is the issue. That's why I've got to go back next week and come back to the postmodernist and Saul Alinsky question. That is true. And that is a problem with the left. So that's why I was like, we need to have like a victory condition here ourselves, or else we become that way. We just keep, you know, changing the goalposts and being angry, and maybe never getting what we actually want out of it. So we got to choose what we want to ultimately. At least that's what I think. You know, or else, you know, we get caught up in the cycle, and we don't want to keep beating. Everybody's going to keep beating everyone over the head. That doesn't mean that you're weak. But at the same time, when the approach finally does work, you've got to allow an opportunity there for redemption. But they have to take the opportunity multiple times usually. So, because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's truth to that statement. So we'll be back next week for episode 16. Who knows what we're going to talk about? I have no idea. That's how this show went. I kind of went impromptu since I, took the week off last week because of my voice. So we're back. This week's schedule, for sure, you're going to see me 5:45 p.m. I do that to give myself a little bit of breathing room between this stream and the Epic Verse stream. Fortnite, as usual, with Commander N, my younger brother, and the old man, and maybe the real old man, which my dad calls his brother. So it's like a brother stream, 2 generations. So we have a lot of fun with that. I think you guys really enjoyed last stream. It was one of the most fun streams that we've had in a long time. And we've got, who knows what's going to happen on Friday. Will we play Helldivers? I don't know. We may play something else. We're going to have to figure out, we're going to have to see where this fiasco goes. Because I think I've said, maybe I'm willing to forgive, but are there going to be opportunities there? I don't know. So we'll see, or we'll get the old man to play something else. We'll find out. But there'll be a stream anyway, Friday at 6 p.m. And that'll go, usually that's our 3-hour stream. So we'll see what we throw there. Maybe it'll be something totally different. Saturday, again, that'll be up in the air. Stay tuned for that, whether it is another Destiny stream. Maybe the Destiny stream will be on Friday. Who knows what the guys are up to. Sometimes they play on Wednesday. So there's some fluctuation here. I apologize, but for sure you're going to have the Thursday and Friday streams. You'll see me on Epic Verse at 8 p.m. and we'll be back here for episode 16, possibly with the old man as our guest, if he's able, and if you guys vote for it, for episode 16. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out again for this show that I didn't expect nor plan the way that I thought it would go. But always appreciate you. Have a wonderful week, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.